15. Good morning. I'm Sweetie Berry, and this is Between Us Girls with the Women of Dare Whimsy. Dare Whimsy is a community for gifted and creative women, and we meet each week at 10 o'clock to share conversations about our life adventures as being a creative and a gifted woman. This week I'm tickled to death because it's the back to school show. You know, not everyone's in school, not everyone has a child in school, but this is a time to start strong. There's something about August and September that brings back the understanding that we want to get back to basics in our life. And we're going to share how to start strong in new projects, in new school years, in new situations as you face change today. We have with us Dr. Edith Johnston, who is just an amazing educator. She works with multi-talented, gifted women and men, and she is a licensed counselor. So it's very fun to know that not only is she brilliant at being brilliant, but she helps other brilliants use their brilliance. I'm looking forward to hearing what she has to say about starting strong. Good morning, Dr. Edith.
Good morning, sweetie. Good morning, Women of Dare Whimsy. It's just great to be here this morning. You know, starting strong is an important part, and the place we have to start with is, do we even know how we respond when new situations, new beginnings are in front of us? Have we thought about it? Have we made conscious choices? Many a times we just jump in, whether that's with anxiety or whether it's with exuberance. We still are just jumping in. And so then the experience continues, which is great. However, sometimes not quite according to what would be that we'd really like to consciously have happen. So, as usual, here I am recommending take a breath. Yep, take a deep breath, because that'll help us figure out, well, how am I going to respond at this moment? And bringing your strengths together, and yet knowing you don't have to do it alone. Like this group here, and as you're watching us, you're part of Dare Whimsy's Women. And we can do things together, and having that support. Because we may have high anxiety, we may be totally excited, we may have resistance, and all of those things are helpful and responsible to us, but we need to know them and we need to recognize them. So by taking that deep breath and then looking at what is our response, then we can choose, make choices of how we would like to experience or express ourselves in this new experience. So taking time to know yourself and then saying, what resources do I need? I don't want to do this alone. This is too scary for me. I'm going to reach out and grab someone's hand. That way we can both have additional support to be able to move forward into this new experience. Whether it's school, whether it's at work, whether it's on your bucket list, something you're going to do like jumping out of a plane and skydiving. Whatever that new experience is, take your breath, know yourself, make a conscious decision on its benefits, its assets, its liabilities to you, the pros and cons, reach out for help, and make it happen. New experiences are an everyday part of life. You know, Sarah has lots of new experiences, and she's having lots of new ones here recently, and she usually has a way to organize it and make it happen so it's really efficient and effective and a whole lot less stressful. Hey, Sarah, why don't you give us some of your ideas?
Thank you, Dr. Edith. Well, some of my ideas are, first and foremost, get everything out on a calendar. And I love my stickies and spiral system for getting everything laid out so I know what's expected of me personally, so I know what's expected of the people that I am a steward of, like my children, or what's expected of my husband and the things that I help him care for with, you know, his books and things like that. So it's really important that I know that I get everything out on the calendar as well as in my spiral notebook. So I feel like I can confidently tackle those assignments knowing that I'm not going to miss deadlines, because, you know, sometimes you do when they're not on the calendar. So I do take some time at least once a week and then a little bit of time every single day to look at what is going to be expected of today and what do I need to prep for tomorrow for the next 48 hours, 72 hours. So I'm always kind of looking at what's right now so I can be present to the moment of what's going on and what the new experience is, because you'll enjoy it a lot more if you're present with it. But then also looking to what's going to be happening and what things do I need to prepare for. And when you do those things, when you give yourself time to prepare, you're able to relax in that moment, at least more so than if you weren't prepared. We went on a trip, an unexpected trip this last weekend up to Crescent City, California, and it was wonderful, but I had a little angst about it because I hadn't planned, the maps. I hadn't planned where we were going. I hadn't planned, all those things that I typically do. But getting my maps when we got there allowed me to kind of settle into it a little bit more and taking a deep breath and just allowing for that moment to be. And so that was a good experience for me as well, knowing that you can't be in control all the time, and sometimes new experiences just have to be allowed rather than totally planned for. So both things are important to learn. I also really, really think it's important as you're planning for new experiences and beginning new things that you do some investigation. Find out what that experience has been like for other people, and that way you can look at the pros and cons of what they've experienced and kind of prepare yourself in advance. Sometimes that's not possible. Sometimes you might be given an unexpected health announcement about what's going on with your health, and there was no way to plan for that. And at that point, you just have to, take a deep breath like you talked about, Dr. Edith, and turn it over. I feel like I turn it over to God and say, you know what? There's no way that I can do this by myself. And then also you talked about calling in some troops, or what are your resources? So surround yourself, especially during new experiences, with people that can support you through those new experiences and who absolutely have they're in your corner, they're cheering you on, so that if you're having a rough spot in those new experiences, you can have someone to rally with you, pray with you, support you, as well as, not let you stay in a pity party too long if it gets really rough. All those things are really crucial to starting well, as well as staying strong in the process of new experiences. And I know, Gail, you've got some fabulous things to share as well. Why don't you go ahead and, share with us. But first, let's just thank you for being here. We're so glad that all of you are here, and we're glad that you're joining us in this conversation of new experiences with the girls of Dare Whimsy.
Well, thanks, Sarah and Dr. Edith, sweetie. It's so good to be here with all of you and everyone in our audience. Oh, wowzer. You ladies sure said just about everything. I was just listening to what you were saying and just nodding and thinking that's right on. My first thought is that every day brings a new experience. Every single day. You never know what's going to happen. No matter how much you plan, no matter how much you think you're going to do this or do that. Sweetie was telling me this morning about some unexpected things that she never would have thought would have happened this morning. And you have to jump in and deal with them. As Dr. Edith said, there's a certain amount of times when you choose to just jump in, and there's many times when you simply have to jump in and deal with situations, whether they're positive situations that lift you up and make you laugh, or whether they're not so positive and bring a little stress into your life. But as big girls now, we have so many choices to make day to day because we don't have as much structure as we had when we were younger. I was thinking about how an incident when I went to 7th grade. Now, back in my day, it was called junior high. Now it's middle school. But I remember not knowing how a 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade girl is supposed to act. I just had no clue. I mean, why would I? I'm coming from 6th grade. I knew how 6th grade girls act. So I remember looking around to see what are the other girls doing. And so I remember seeing one girl near my locker. She was a 9th grader. And she went in her locker and she took out a purse. And she was rifling through the purse and pulled out lipstick and tissues. And I said, this is what you do. So I have to go get a purse. So I went home and told my mother I have to get a purse because I'm in 7th grade now and this is what you do in junior high. Things were so much simpler then. You could simply make choices based on looking around you to see what other people are doing. But now as big girls, our choices are a little bit more in our control as far as we can make them all day long. And we can choose to do things that uplift us. We can choose to do things that may not, but we have all the choice in the world. And sometimes we just have to wing it. Sarah, as you said, you went without a map, and finally you got one, but there was a certain amount of, okay, we don't have a map. Maybe it's going to be fun just to wing this and see where we go. I know with you have people in your family like husband and children, partners. I have to ask my husband every week, okay, now what's on your schedule? What are you doing on Wednesday? What are you doing on Thursday? Simply so I'll know how we are going to move together and apart during that week. And then I eventually have to do it Monday morning, Tuesday morning. Now, once again, tell me, has anything changed? Do you have some need that I need to fulfill for you, or vice versa? And so you're constantly having to assess what's going on and what you may need to change to realign with the experience of the day. As Dr. Edith said, bottom line, you find yourself having to take a deep breath and go forward. Sweetie, what do you do? I know you've got some stories for us too.
Well, you know, I am the single fly by the seat of the pants girl, I think, in the whole group. And, you know, that's fun because I'm a strategist. And what I do with people and students and lessons in my own life is understand that before you can get to where you're going, you got to know where that is. And so to start strong, you guys have nailed it. The first thing, you got to breathe. It really helps if you have a calendar understanding of where you are and when you are, like Gail said. But even before that, I ask you to just stop and pause. Because when you're entering new things, when you're doing new things, it's really time to get excited, and it can be exhilarating or it can be scary. But you need to pause and take a deep breath and really think about, what do you want the outcome to be? You know, if you're not familiar with what's available at a store and you walk in and you're looking for shoes and they only sell basketballs, the outcome may not work well because you didn't have an outcome in mind when you entered the kind of store you went to. Your life is very much that same mall. You can enter your life with 100,000 different opportunities, but if you don't know what you want out of your life, it's very hard to end up at the right destination. So this fall, as we go into the fall, I'm going to encourage you to pause, first of all, and to stop and think about the perspective of what works for you. For me, I love happy things. I love people who don't mind working hard to create the things that they believe in. I like learners around me. I like people who are teachable. I like people who have a heart for others. So if I'm looking for those things in my world, there's some preparations to be ready for to find that. You know, when I pause, I can remember that to prepare for something, I can think of the things I need. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee today. That's about 200 miles from home. And before I came, I thought about, I'm going to be in the studio. I'm going to be live somewhere. I'm going to be running really hard for a few days. And I paused to think, what did that mean? And for me, that meant packing extra nutrition things with me, because sometimes meals on the restaurants don't work on the schedules I have. It meant making sure that I brought a companion with me who could be kind of my lady-in-waiting, who could help me stay centered as I was changing clothes and changing locations, as I prepared several times to speak in 72 hours. I took time to play. I planned for clothes that were comfortable so that I would be able to get out and get my walks done. And just that pausing and that preparing has made this last 84 to 96 hours, which has been crazy. After all, the strategist is called in when things are happening. It's been really busy and unexpected things have come up. But because I paused and prepared for that, it's been a pleasure to be on this path for the most part. Challenging, yes. But I had the things I needed. I had extra clothes with me. I had extra food supplies with me. I had someone else to take some of the load off me who could absolutely know my systems already. I had the ability to have perspective to know that this is just 96 hours. It's not the rest of my life. You know, when we start new things, one of the things that's very useful and very multiplying of your success and the newness of it is the perspective to know that it's just right now I need to deal with. Make the best decision you can with the information you have, and then when you have new information, be prepared to let go of that decision and alter it reroute it, or change it until it is the decision that gets the outcome you're seeking. I used to love fast food. Man, Sarah will tell you, and I know Gail will, I would pick the worst of food because I love fast food. And I loved it because it was convenient, and it was fast, and it was easy, and it was inexpensive on the fly. Right until I had a new experience. That Gail Riley, she fed me solid food out in Minneapolis. That Sarah Cook, she taught me about gluten-free food. I'm here to tell you, it took them 2.5 years to get me to even try it. But with new experiences come new perspective. And they would be so tickled to tell you that when they looked at my hotel room today, when I was virtual, they could see things like figs, fresh fruit, cheese, things that could be had that were healthy for me in my room. And guess what? My skin shows it, my hair shows it, my ability to maintain energy throughout the day shows it. You see, our choices change as we grow, and some of our choices that used to serve us no longer do. So part of starting strong is recognizing that in order to grow, in order to achieve, in order to maintain that life you're wanting, choosing is a choice, and you can change your choices. And sometimes new growth means you got to stand by the ones you've already made. You're not going to give up your morals. You're not going to give up your values. You're not going to give up your self-care. And they may have to change their choices and how they interact with you. I love that part of this show, that we all really talk about what we struggle with and what we go forward with. And food is a big struggle for me, but I'm choosing to go forward in a new direction this year. Dr. Edith, I would love for you to share. We're about halfway through our shows. And I would love for you to talk about how change affects us as a child, as a parent, as a coworker, and how to start strong in new environments for all three of those, as well as relationships like friendships.
Well, thank you, sweetie. Change is, like all of us have been talking about today, and Sweetie was just mentioning too, is if you have your framework, you know where you're starting from. Now, that's more consciously done as an adult. As a child, we've done that by providing them a framework to work within. This is what's allowable. This is what we want to encourage. We want to encourage that exploration, that awe, that wonder, that curiosity of a child, and yet we want you to do it within parameters of safety. So most families, as part of their value and their cultures and how their location and environment is, provide parameters for children to go explore new experiences. Because as a child, we want to know what the world's about. We have no idea. And that goes all the way up to like 21. Where's 22? I would say some of us children here at heart are still exploring it and not always know the limits or the boundaries to work within. But as a child and a younger child, we need to provide them as they get off to go to school. One of the things we've talked about over the last few weeks is being able to have that confidence. So do you have that foundation? And it may be that new purse Gail was talking about. Do you have that confidence to be able to go forth into that new crowd? And especially as children, and we look at middle school and teenagers, the peer group becomes that parameter that we're working within. And what they say and do makes a big difference to us. However, it's really important even then, as a middle schooler and a high schooler, to know what's important to you. And by that I mean, what do you see as the right and wrongs? What is the foundation of your values, your belief systems that you have been introduced to through family, community, and culture? That goes on and is going to carry that strength through you, throughout your life, even into adulthood. So yeah, peer pressure's there, but you need to also be conscious about it, because making choices as a young adult is a big deal, because it will affect you immediately and on a long-term basis. As we go on into adulthood and look at how do we start from strength, preparation we've talked about, being able to know who we are is really important. I come back to values because that is a platform from which you work from. Those are the basics that matter to you, as Sweetie would say. And how are you doing that? You might be able to list it. Oh, I want to be honest. I want to be disciplined. I want to be practical. I want to be gung-ho. Money might be important to you. Career may be important to you. Recognition may be important to you. Family may be important to you. But then the question comes, are you making and are you facing that unknown, those new experiences, from the perspective of what is important to you, what your values and beliefs are? Go into the unknown, explore, be excited, try new things, go to school, expand yourself, expand your horizons, but know yourself, know what's important to you, and ask, am I living from my values? Am I living to go forth and be part of who I want to be in this new experience? Be one. Go on, sweetie. What were you going to say?
I'm so sorry. I love that. And the big picture is I hear you saying over and over and over again to us in ways that are new and meaningful, is that the framework of your thinking, the framework of your actions, the framework of how you focus your beliefs and your values and your actions is so valuable to get cognizant of. You know, so many people, particularly gifted and creative people, automatically assimilate to where they are. They can see something and they just kind of assimilate, creating it or recreating it or duplicating it or taking it to the next level. But very often, as a teacher of gifted kids and as a worker who works with, you know, amazingly gifted adults, I often see a skip step being cognizance of the framework they're working in, whether it's the framework of time and time management, whether it's the framework of personal care, whether it's the framework of organizational methods. You know, maybe they are visual and they're functioning only in visual, but their team or their job requires them to function in tactile. You know, they're not really cognizant of that framework that's causing the stress. In fact, I said just this morning to Dr. Martina McGowan, as I spoke with her very early, about I need your help to help me see what's repetitively happening to me in my framework, because I don't see that is a loop that I continue to repetitively see, like a merry-go-round. And she was so cute because she sees things very analytically. She's an extremely good surgeon, she's an extremely good doctor, and she's an amazing friend and writer. But she sees things very detailed, because when you're a surgeon, what you're looking for is the detail that's not right. You're looking for the problem with the body, the brain, the uterus, whatever she's working on that's having a problem, and she zeroes in on that to, I love these words, to stop the oxygen and life supply to remove what's keeping life from happening. So she's very good in personal relationships. In fact, she's a life coach outside of being a doctor, and she's very good at helping stop the supply of energy in people's lives to that which isn't supporting their life. She can't do it for them, but she can sure put some laser focus on it sometimes so they can heal themselves. Because you know, no one can make your success for you. No one can absolutely fix your wagon, not even with money. You know, so many people believe if they just get a 100,000-pound truck of money, they would have it cured. Well, let me tell you, as a strategist who works with multiple millionaire 8- and 9-figure people, money is a tool. It is not God Almighty, nor is it the solve for your problems. I have people that make 9 figures a year, and they still have problems. Go figure. So really and truly, that values-based life, that framework of how you want to finish strong, whether it's today's finish strong or lunchtime's finish strong or the rest of your life finish strong, if you don't know what that looks like to you, chances are not real high you're going to create it with money. You're not going to create it with time. You're not going to create it with extra people in your life. You got to create it yourself with your heart and your vision first, and then learn the skills to get there. You know, choosing's a choice. And part of starting strong this year is making the choice to take time to pause and identify, what do you want life to look like? What do you want your business life to look like? What do you want your school life to look like? And we all need to be lifelong learners. I don't say need to be very often. That's kind of a guilt-shame word. But I'm telling you, you ought to consider wanting to learn this year and open the doors wide open and figure out what it is you want to learn. Maybe you want to learn to crochet. Maybe you want to learn to do Periscope. Maybe you want to learn to use your computer differently. Maybe you want to learn to sleep well at night. There's just an unlimited amount of things, from learning French to learning how to do computer programming to learning how to play chess with your kids or your husband, or learning how to create a romantic, fantastic fellowship dinner for your friends to come over. Big picture is, let's start strong this year. We are the Women of Dare Whimsy. DareWhimsy.com is a site for creative and gifted women. We share our ideas, our life happenings, and the adventures of living creative and gifted. We are not gurus. We are not specialists in every area. We just bring to the table who we are, and we hope that you'll bring to the table who you are. On Thursdays, we have a post as well as a replay of this video that's available to you for those of you that have to see it at a different archive date. And we ask you to share your moments of what works best for you about how to start strong, as this week's topic is. Some of you will resonate with one of our writers, and you'll follow them home with the read more. And we'd like to follow you home too, so be sure and put your comments there. And if you have a blog or a website or professional place you work, we want to know who you are, because we believe that together we learn how to release, restore, and relax into being the gifted women we are, and to create a life we love. This has been Sweetie Berry and the Women of Dare Whimsy. We're going to do a quick popcorn, and it really needs to be very short, ladies, about 15 or 20 seconds. What is your best support system for you during change? Just a couple of words to share that, please. Sarah, I'm going to popcorn to you first.
So my best support system is the Stickies and Spirals notebook system that I developed. It helps me stay organized. It helps me focus on my values and know what's coming next. All right, Dr. Edith, let's have you share.
Oh, my quick one is, believe it or not, actually have on routines but be inflexible. So having some sort of structure and yet knowing that it could change at any moment. All right, Miss Gail, what's yours?
Mine is pretty similar, Dr. Edith, to have a structure but know that you're going to have to sometime wing it, and you just have to go with it. And also, I'd like to say that I am very big on reaching out to the Women of Dare Whimsy and the other women close to me, just like Sweetie did with Dr. McGowan, is to check in and find out, can you help me see what I'm not seeing and that I want to see?
Absolutely, Gail Roddy, and I have to say all of us in this team really do that with each other. We have already 11 people on the team, and in our small group we call out all the time of how to do this and how to do that, and am I doing this and am I doing that. My last hint, and what's one that I hope you will truly take to heart, take time to play. Your creative endeavors, the being who you are, the growing and changing into new situations cannot go well if you don't take time to play. I don't care if you're not finished. I don't care if you don't have all the answers. The strategist is encouraging you to know that play is the fuel of life. And when you take time to play, your creativity will be refueled, and you'll be able to come back with new perspective and engage whatever it is before you with aplomb. Thanks for coming this week. We loved being with you, and we hope you'll join us every Wednesday at 10 o'clock with the Women of Dare Whimsy, Between Us Girls. Thanks for coming.